This is Real Estate Radio. The Erik Hatch team is highly motivated, innovative, and knowledgeable for all things real estate. This is Real Estate Radio.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, real estate fans alike, and beautiful people out there in the listening audience. Thanks so very much for tuning into Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Erik Hatch of Hatch Realty, fresh off the plane back from Orlando, Florida, where I did some continuing education with my team. And holy cow, I have some fun information to share here at the top of the hour. First of all, Florida's pretty nice. We came back, and when we got off the plane, it was a 100-degree difference from when we left Florida to when we got back to Fargo. So it's great to be home, even though the weather was beautiful. Certainly coming home and hanging out with my beautiful wife and daughter are the only things that really matter. But I want to talk real estate here at the top of the hour. Of course, we got jam-packed with so much information, but there's some things I want to share with you as the listening audience that you'll maybe say, how about that? I found that one of the most fascinating things that I learned down in Florida was that the people's tenure in their previous homes, or the amount of time that somebody's living in their house, is a bit different than what we think. Now, when I got into real estate in 2006, the national average I heard is that the average person stayed in their house for, 5 to 7 years. That's kind of a number that people throw around, but according to statistics in 2007, the median time that people stayed in their house was only 3 years at that time. 3 years is such a short tenure of time, and median and averages are of course different, but we're going to talk about medians here. 2007, people moved every 3 years, according to the median. Fast forward to 2014, and the median is 10 years. Now, surprisingly enough, 4% of people move in 1 year or less. Now, in 2 to 3 years, another 9% move. So that means in less than 4 years, 13% of people who buy their houses are going ahead and buying the second time. So that's a bit of a shock. Now, 4 to 5 years is 12, 6 to 7 years is 11%. And then we get into the heavy numbers, 8 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and 21 plus. We're talking, 60% or so of people stay in their house for a long duration of time. So a lot of you listening on Real Estate Radio this morning may be shocked to find out that I may be speaking to people right now who have no intentions of moving. And if that's the case, I certainly always want to keep you educated on what it takes if you do decide to buy or sell. And certainly it's always fun to learn about real estate. So whether you want to talk now about moving or if you have dreams in 10 years, I still want to be that point of contact for you. And we'd love to interview for the job. 369-4839, or to find out what your home is worth, head to livefargomorehead.com. But first things first, let's find out what's happening with real estate news this week.
A $10 sales price proved to be too much for a 101-year-old house in suburban Chicago. The low price tag was in the hopes of saving the home from being razed, but no buyer has come forward. Along with the $10 price tag, the home also came with a stipulation that any buyer would have to move the home from its lot in Geneva, Illinois. We got 2 calls, said David Pratzeld, president of Shodine Incorporated. He removed the $10 listing in mid-January due to lack of interest. The Geneva Historic Preservation Commission ruled that the house does not qualify for historic preservation. It has several housing violations, including a cracked foundation, moldy ceilings, as well as damaged plumbing, electrical wiring, siding, and heating and air conditioning. The commission has granted Shodine permission to raise the house, but only if the company first tried to sell it and get a buyer to move it to another location. No buyer stepped forward, however, likely because in order to move the house and rehab it up to code would cost about $450,000. And that's what's making real estate news this week. You're listening to Erik Hatch with Real Estate Radio.
Breaking in, shaping I am always elated to have the beautiful, the wonderful, the talented Mr. Tim Rosene of Studs to Rugs here in studio with us. And this morning, we are blessed with his presence. So good morning, Tim Rosene.
Good morning, Erik. How are you doing today?
Oh, man, if I were any better, I'd be twins. Life is great right now, and wonderful to have you here. Tim Rosene, tell us about Studs to Rugs for those of the listening audience who really don't know what that is.
Studs to Rugs is your whole complete home remodeling company. We specialize in basement finishing and remodeling, but we've moved on. We also do kitchens, bathrooms, everything from start to finish.
So that's a new twist. I think that when people and you're a marketing expert, by the way, Tim, but when people have heard your jingle and when they've heard your commercials on radio, they've had the chance to say, Studs to Rugs changes my basement. But it's more than that now.
That's right. We also have our own cabinet shop in-house now, so we have the ability to do kitchens and full bathroom remodels, everything from start to finish. So we've changed a little bit. We've evolved. We've grown up a little bit more. We're still your basement experts in town.
Absolutely.
But we also have the ability to do everything else inside the home.
And Tim, you have a unique background, not like most people who own their own remodeling and custom finish businesses. And I was fascinated about this when I found out. Share with everyone what it is that you've done in your past lives.
Well, before I started up Studs to Rugs, I was an aircraft mechanic. I worked out at Boeing for a lot of years, building up 747s, and I really enjoyed it. I really love the aspect of troubleshooting, trying to figure things out from start to finish. And it kind of evolved into the new company. I bring those same aspects and troubleshooting procedures into the remodeling industry, which is unique and new.
Can you take a basement and make it more comfortable than a Boeing 747?
Oh, you're darn right. We had more leg room and everything.
I love it. I love it indeed. Again, Tim Rosene with Studs to Rugs in studio with us. And Tim, you've been doing this for a while now. I'm curious, what is your absolute favorite thing to do for a client? What makes them smile from ear to ear, and that gives you a little bit of joy at the end of the day?
You know, the best thing that I do is love giving families a space that they can gather in and they can start to have family time again. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that it's just in this new age of technology, I think it's something that's missing out there. Everybody's on the go. Everybody always has their laptops in front of them. Their cell phones are always ringing. Mm-hmm. What I love to do is bring a space where the family can get back together and have some family time. Maybe a movie night, maybe just watching the fireplace, cuddling up, relaxing, and just slowing down a little bit and enjoying life.
And that is... That's something you probably won't hear every day in this business is, well, I look forward to making a big profit on something. And those are great things. Don't get me wrong, Tim. But the desire and the hope for someone to say, you know what, this is a family difference. And when you can take some space and make it so that family comes together as opposed to goes apart, I think that's a beautiful thing, Tim. What was your motivation for that? What made you say, I want to get into this business to make a difference for families and your own family too?
Well, what really drove me to get into this space was I was in a situation much like other people back in 2008 where the house wasn't worth as much as what I owed on it. And the only way to fix that was to finish up our lower level. And so I did that by myself
Mm-hmm.
and found out that there was no company out there in the Fargo-Moorhead area to help me along and to make that basement into a finished space. So when I started, that was the whole goal, was to try to help people get more value out of their home, and then the comfort and the relaxation, everything started to come after that.
I love it. Again, Tim Rosene, you not only know the business inside and out, literally and figuratively, but you also have taken great care of your own house. I've been in it. It is as good as advertised. It is as beautiful and as sweet as you would imagine. And I know that you did a lot of that finish work. So listening audience, get this. Tim's house is going to be coming on the market in the next month or two. And that's when you get the sweet stuff. That's when you get that absolutely opportune opportunity. Is that right? Opportune opportunity? Does that work?
Yeah, that works for me. You get the wow factor.
That's right. And you have the wow factor in your house from the TV that's over the hot tub, which I really enjoy.
Well,
not that I've been in your hot tub.
Well, you're certainly welcome more than any time, Eric.
This got weird. That felt, yeah. No, your basement has fabulous light. That's one of the things that I noticed that you don't always find in basements.
One of the things that we strive for at Studs to Rugs when finishing off a lower level, the biggest complaints when I started off the company was that basements, everybody thought that they were dark, and they also thought that they were cold. That is two things that we work on primarily on all of our finished lower levels, is that make sure that there's plenty of light and make sure that they're nice and warm, comfortable for everybody. And that's what we try to create. And yeah, my house is no exception.
It certainly isn't. So there's two opportunities that people have right now. Number one, if they want to buy your house, Tim, they should reach out to me. In fact, I bet if we got you an offer, you'd say, yeah, that's good. We're going to move on it. So, Tim, your house is in South Moorhead. Tell us that address. Or no, let's leave it as a cliffhanger. How about that?
You want to leave it as a little
We'll leave it as a
secret out
cliffhanger.
there?
It's in South Moorhead. We're going to price it right. We're going to price it in that sweet spot. And you can get Tim's fabulous finishes from top to bottom. But if somebody wants to hire you and they want to hire Studs to Rugs to fix up their kitchen, their bathrooms, their basements, or anything else in their house, how do they contact you?
Just give us a call at 701-730-0091 or visit us on the web at studstorugs.com.
Tim, always great having you in studio with us. And if you want to see Tim's house in person, if you are interested in a great rambler in South Moorhead, there I go, getting
South
heavy on my
yeah,
words.
I know, I hear you.
in South Moorhead, give us a call at 369-4839 or reach out at livefargomoorhead.com. But stick around, we have a lot more coming up after the break. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.
Stick around. More Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch after this.
Don't survive. I was born free. I was born.
This is Real Estate Radio. The Erik Hatch team is highly motivated, innovative, and knowledgeable for all things real estate. This is Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio. As always, I'm your host, Erik Hatch, and I want to share with you some exciting things that I know, some things that I've learned, and some things that are simply worth passing along. Now, first off is when it comes time to sell your house, as much as you'd like to think, and I'd like to think, that there's all these extenuating circumstances, there's really something we need to focus on. And it comes down to this, is I think the first is price. And the price, as much as you want to determine that, and I want to determine that, really that doesn't matter much. Price is determined by the market. That depends on the comparable sales, on the economy, on the place that you live. Price is really important. Now, the best way to get price is, of course, to make sure that these next two are really falling in line. So price is completely out of my hands as a realtor and completely out of your hands as a seller. However, the condition, the way your property shows, is the number 2 point I want to make. And of course, it's vastly important to make sure that your home is beautiful, that it's decluttered, that it's staged nicely, that it's depersonalized, that you've done all the fixes and upgrades, that your landscaping pops, and everything in between. But of course, you need to make sure that that house is showing off wonderfully as well. So on the flip side is you need to make sure that you have somebody who's going to market your house well, which leads to number 3, because although the market determines the price and although you determine the condition, that's all for nothing if you don't have the right marketing. And that's our competitive advantage at Hatch Realty. But I want to talk to you about specifically who looks at houses, how they look at houses, and those numbers that are imperative for you to know. So let's first talk about online presence. Now, the statistics will show that over 92% of people actually go online to look for houses. Again, 92% is an insane amount of folks who are using the internet to find their house. And so think about how many people are using that to find the actual house that they discover and fall in love with. That number is over 40%. That's actually a really surprising number for people, but believe it or not, that number is over 40%, which is a huge deal. Now, the second thing that's really important is we need to make sure that we're marketing to other realtors. Most of the time, people get this image that realtors are going to do the 3 Ps. They put a sign in the yard, they put it on the MLS, and then they pray that it sells. But realistically, an agent with a sharp marketing plan will always get you top dollar if you're going ahead and marketing your house. Now, in order to get that top dollar, again, you have to market and market well to other agents. It's imperative. You have to be able to be connected with them. You have to be in good relationships with them. And you have to be willing to get that information in front of them so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Now, oh my goodness, not only is the internet important in selling your house, and not only is relationships with other realtors from your realtor important in selling your house, then there's things like open houses and yard signs. And then, of course, none of that matters if there's not a fast response time. So let me share with you some of the secret sauce that Hatch Realty has. It's catapulted us to success, and it's the idea that we're approaching this as a service-based model. What I mean by that is simply this. If we get your listing, and when we get your listing, we're going to make sure that we have a team of professionals behind the scenes handling everything, all those details, so that the salespeople like myself are able to sell your house as quickly as possible and for the most amount of money. If you ask me, or if you ask another person who's probably a great salesperson to have their eye on details in terms of marketing brochures and responding quickly to emails and that sort of thing, you may have it fall on deaf ears. It's hard to be everything to everyone, and oftentimes when somebody is a lone wolf in the real estate industry, they leave themselves susceptible to not being great in every category. And at Hatch Realty, we're committed to giving our clients outstanding customer service no matter what we do. So let's say there's a lead that comes in on your property, but I'm at a listing appointment. If I'm an individual agent, I'm probably not going to stop at that listing appointment to answer the phone. Simple courtesy, right? Well, we make sure at Hatch Realty that we have people who those phones actually get directed to if somebody else is in an appointment, so that a phone call is usually not missed, so that virtually every lead that comes in on your property is going to be responded to instantaneously. Now, it's really, really important for you to understand how great that is as a marketing advantage, because if your house is priced right and if it's in the right condition, but if nobody's there to answer the call and if nobody's there to follow up on the leads that come in, we're really leaving you a leg or two short on your stool. So think about that. How important is it going to be for you when you hire your right realtor to make sure that every last bit of detail is covered? Now, selling a house is not as easy as it appears. Certainly that you can put the sign in the yard, you can put it on the MLS, and you can pray that it sells, and those are great things. But at the end of the day, you need to have a master negotiator, you need to have somebody who is on top of their marketing, and you need to make sure that you're lining up with somebody who is of the same moral standards as you. I believe that Hatch Realty can be that group for you, and we'd love to interview for the job. 369-4839 or head to livefargomorehead.com. Where has the time gone? We are almost out of it today. I can't believe that this show has flown by quite like this, but nonetheless, when you're having fun, everything seems to go a little bit quicker. Now, I started the top of the hour talking about the tenure that people have in their houses, and the average is 10. But I want to say that if you are not in the right house right now, there's never been a better opportunity to sell than right now. Interest rates still remain ridiculously low. And on top of that, it is in the higher end market. If you're talking 250 and over, that market is a little softer than the market under 250. But there's not a bad time to move, and today is certainly no exception. So if you're in a house, if you're loving your house, and if you're saying, you know, this is good, but maybe we could get a little bit more, there's no harm in looking. There's no harm in taking a gander to find out what your home is actually worth. So there's a couple steps I need you to do. First is to go to our website, to go to livefargomorehead.com. And at our website, you can do a handful of things. I'd love for you to find out what your home is worth. We have a free home valuation website there. The second thing I'd love for you to do is to maybe sign up to look for some houses. You can see what's happening on the market every day. And my guess is you'll be surprised at what's out there. Now, if you're thinking, where am I going to move if I sell? Because if it is such a seller's market right now, I can tell you that with the right representation, and I believe Hatch Realty can be that for you, we can make it so that we can sell your house, but you don't have to fully accept that offer until you find the house that you're looking for. And I bet we can find a buyer to wait until you find your house, and we can get all these dominoes to fall at once. You don't have to move twice. You don't have to move in with your parents. You don't have to find a place to rent. Instead, we can line the dominoes up to make this right for you. I think that's a big fear for folks, but when it comes to selling houses, there's nothing we do better at Hatch Realty. So we're going to get top dollar for your house. We're going to get you the most amount of money, and we're going to do so in the least amount of time. Of course, knowing all your wants and needs, we're going to line up these stars and make this right for you. So at the end of the day, when it comes time to sell and buy real estate, we hope you think of Hatch Realty. So one last time, reach out, 369-4839, or head to livefargomorehead.com. And that's it. Thanks so very much for listening to Real Estate Radio. I've been your host, Erik Hatch, on the Mighty 790 KFGO.
'Cause I'm gonna make this